in terms of energy policy, the only thing I want to say here is really simple. We need to make energy basically the cost zero. We need to try and work out a way that we can bring energy costs down as much as possible, because that's exactly what's happening in China, and it's what the US need to do. If they're going to have net energy costs at zero, their competitive advantage becomes enormous. And energy costs are so important in terms of fixed input costs in so much of what we do.
Digital world.
I'm sick of the debate. I just want basically cheap energy, and I want it for as long as I can possibly get it for. So do whatever you need to do, because energy policy is nation building. It's the fabric of everything that we do. And, foreign investment won't come into this country, and we won't build stuff here if our energy costs are more expensive, our labor costs are more. They'll just ship it across and they'll import it to us. So that to me is a big story there. I want to then talk about public service jobs. That's obviously another one in terms of spending. So what we have seen in this particular latest budget, we've seen the biggest movement from a surplus to a deficit outside of the GFC and also the pandemic. And that just says to us that neither side of politics, I mean, they're trying to buy your vote. Neither side of politics are doing a good job at running a good economy and tightening their purse strings. They just don't do it. And unfortunately, the expectation of the punter, i.e. the voter, is give me more. Give me more of that in terms of what it looks like. So I'm interested in what's going to happen in regards to reducing costs, reducing spending, regulation versus deregulation. We are over-regulated here. We've had no productivity improvement since around 2017. So for mine, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then so the final thing that we're also seeing, this very small differentiation otherwise. And the other one that's happened is clearly infrastructure projects going to be sort of not redefined, but reorientated. So We've already seen the opposition also talk about the Suburban Rail Loop here in Victoria. They're going to scrap the funding for that and also the Sunshine Station upgrade and redirect it towards the Victorian upgrade for the airport link and a few other bits and pieces. That's, I think, the other thing that's going to happen now is
that's the libs.
It's going to be
national
off balance sheet, as they refer to it, which is a horrible term. Funding is now the target for both sides, because if you actually have a look, the off balance sheet for the current government has gone from $42 billion to $106 billion, but that's all seen as an investment. Again, the Suburban Rail Loop is a great example of government investment that actually is not an investment. It's a poor allocation of capital.
It's economic vandalism.
It's terrible.
And
yeah,
sorry, I get really annoyed by this. I mean, at the end of the day, the big spend that's happening, the big build in Victoria has obviously generated more jobs. I've said this publicly before. There's more government paid jobs in Victoria than the private sector jobs. That's ridiculous. I mean, in terms of a capitalist society, that is ridiculous. And so what we have a problem with is all these union jobs aren't necessarily going to be able to be sustained. So this is the Labor government looking after the powerful unions and giving them future work. And I've always said, you will not need a rail loop. You'll have autonomous vehicles that will take you from point to point as part of that story. So it's a dumb project, and I definitely don't want to see the government spending money on it.